Hello. This is the Bible in fewer words. We are Carol and Steve Wells. This is episode 28, Exodus chapters 9 and 10. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Carol.
In reviewing what we're going to do today,
Yeah?
I was kind of going, where are we going to be able to laugh?
Yeah, these plagues are there's not much funny going on here.
No, it's mostly sad.
Yeah. Some of them are kind of funny. I mean, the idea of the frogs is kind of silly.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a little tedious, too. Everybody knows there's 10 plagues. And we're going through the 10 plagues. We've already covered 4 of the plagues.
Yes.
This episode, we're going to get through pretty much all of them, except for the last. So we'll go through plagues 5 through 9. But we just have to work our way through them.
I guess so.
Yeah.
We're hoping that you stick with us here, folks.
There's something I think because the 10 plagues are so famous. It's a big part of the book of Exodus. And if you're going to be familiar with the Bible, you should be familiar with these plagues as well, I think.
I agree. So I think so that people kind of can list them off. If somebody says, do you know the 10 plagues of the Bible? We're going to go over the first 4 that we've already covered.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So water to blood.
Right.
Frogs.
Mm-hmm.
Lice.
Yeah.
Also known as finger of God.
Well, that was the one the Pharaoh's magicians, the first one that the Pharaoh's magicians couldn't do was lice, right?
Yep. And then the last one, number 4, is flies.
Right.
Mosquitoes are also flies.
Yeah, flies is a very big group. Yeah, it's an order of insects that contains about 150,000 species.
Okay, that's a big number.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll get started then.
Okay, this is chapter 9, verse 1. God said to Moses, "Go to the Pharaoh and say to him, 'The God of the Hebrews says to you, let my people go so they can serve me. If you refuse, I'll kill your cattle.'"
And cattle in this sense, is that like cows?
I think it includes cows, but it includes all other domestic animals, I think. That's just the way that the King James Version, that's the word they use.
Okay.
But I think it's for all of the domestic animals.
God is calling himself the God of the Hebrews. Is that a new name?
Well, he's doing that when he's speaking, when he's saying, when you talk to the Pharaoh, say the God of the Hebrews is going to do this or that.
Oh.
Because the Pharaoh has his own gods, and this is the God of the Hebrews. This is our God.
This is our God.
Yeah.
Okay. And the next day, God killed all the cattle in Egypt, except for the Israelites' cattle. Well, he just did it the next day? Like, did Moses even go talk to him?
Yeah, a lot of times it's not clear. I think in this case he didn't talk to him, or he talked to him, but we don't know how the Pharaoh responded. I don't think he really waited for an answer. A lot of times the Pharaoh will say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I've sinned, forgive me, take your people and leave." But this time he doesn't. We don't know what the Pharaoh said.
Okay.
But the next day, God killed. It was with some kind of disease that he killed all the domesticated animals.
Oh, okay, so there is, verse 7 here says, but the Pharaoh didn't let the Israelites go.
Right.
So I guess maybe his heart was hardened again.
Yeah, in this case, I think it didn't actually say that his heart was hardened, did it? No, at least we don't have it here. I don't think so. So I think we can go on to the next plague. God killed their animals.
I am wondering, did he kill all the animals? Or did he leave the Israelites' animals?
He definitely left the Israelites.
Oh.
Yeah, so he killed all the Egyptian animals, but not the Israelites. And I don't know how the Israelites, they were slaves, would have any animals.
Right.
It seems like they wouldn't own anything, because they're owned themselves. But that's the story, is that the Israelites' cattle were not killed by God.
So that leads me to believe that the Israelites will not have cattle much longer because the Egyptians are going to go get them.
Yeah, we're going to have to see what happens here. But they wouldn't have any more.
No.
The Egyptians wouldn't.
I think we're just moving on to the next plague.
I think we should.
Okay.
Next one is a little bit more interesting, I think.
Yeah. God said to Moses and Aaron, "Take handfuls of ashes and sprinkle them towards heaven in the sight of Pharaoh. This will cause boils and blains to break out on the people and animals throughout Egypt." Boils and blains.
Yeah.
So boils, they're always usually in spots that people don't like to talk about.
Well, could be. I think in this case, I have no idea.
But they might be all over their bodies.
Yeah, I think so. I think I picture it as being all over their bodies and these big, horrible sores. Yeah.
Yeah. And blains, like chilblains.
Yeah. I don't know what those are, but yeah, okay.
But they have them too.
Mm-hmm.
So Moses and Aaron took ashes and sprinkled them towards heaven, and boils broke out on all the people and animals in Egypt.
Yeah, and they'd already died, but they're going to have boils now, too.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
And also on the Israelites' animals, it doesn't say here.
It doesn't say.
The boils and blains were so bad that Pharaoh's magicians couldn't stand before Moses. So we don't know if the Israelites also got boils.
I assume not. I don't think any of these plagues affected the Israelites, because it was kind of the point, was to make lucky. Pharaoh let them go. So he always kind of protected the Israelites in the land of Goshen with they had like a shield, some kind of shield that protected them from all this.
Lucky them.
And in this case, verse 12 says, "And God hardened the Pharaoh's heart."
Oh.
So we know how it happened this time. And there's a great picture that we have here on the website, here a painting of Moses throwing some dust up in the air and all the people laying down on the ground with boils on them.
Yeah, it's very colorful.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 18. Moses said to the Pharaoh, "Tomorrow about this time, I'll cause it to hail like it's never before hailed in Egypt. Any animal or people that are in the field will be killed." So that's the seventh plague.
Yeah.
Hail.
Yeah.
So Moses stretched out his rod, and God sent thunder, hail, and fire on Egypt. And the hail killed every person, animal, and tree that remained outside, except in the land of Goshen, where the Israelites lived.
Yeah.
So I guess if you were inside, you were protected.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
But the animals once again are killed again because they're already all dead.
Yeah, they were dead. Then they got boils, and now there was hail.
Now there's hail. If any of them survived any of that, they're killed here.
Okay.
After God's hailstorm, the Pharaoh called Moses and said to him, "I have sinned. God is righteous, and my people are wicked. Ask God to stop the thunder and the hail, and I'll let you go." So Moses spread his hands to God, and the thunder, hail, and rain stopped. But the Pharaoh refused to let the Israelites go.
Okay. So when is this Pharaoh going to learn his lesson?
I don't
Actually,
know.
it sounds like sometimes he can't
help himself.
No, but he's not in charge of his own.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yes.
He's a little puppet being manipulated by God. Yeah.
Who wants to show off all these tricks.
Right, he's got to get to the next plague, which is coming up.
All right. So God said to Moses, "I have hardened the Pharaoh's heart, so I could show him all my signs and wonders. And so you can tell your sons and grandsons about all the things I did in Egypt. That way you'll know that I'm God." Well, here it is. Verse 10 is telling us why this is all happening.
Chapter 10, verse 1.
Chapter 10, verse 1, yes. So God wants to be able to show all of his signs and wonders. So if the Pharaoh says, yeah, get out of here, then God won't really have a reason to show his signs and wonders.
Yeah. And he wants their sons and grandsons and everyone down all the way to us to remember what God did here so that we'll know who God is.
Couldn't he just say, hey...
I'm someone who kills a lot of people needlessly. Yeah.
Okay.
So verse 3, Moses and Aaron went to the Pharaoh and said to him, "This is what God says. If you refuse to let my people go, I'll bring locusts to cover the ground, fill the houses, and eat every plant in Egypt. There will be more locusts than anyone has ever seen before, and they'll destroy whatever has survived my previous plagues." The Pharaoh said, "Okay, go with God and take your children with you."
He doesn't want to have to take care of all those kids.
Take your dirty clothes with you.
That's right.
God said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over Egypt to bring the locusts to eat every plant in Egypt." So Moses stretched out his hand, and God brought an east wind, which blew for a day and a night. The next morning the ground was covered with locusts, who ate every plant in Egypt.
Okay, wait a second. Here's what we have here in verse 10. The Pharaoh said, "Okay, go and take your kids with you." And the next line is, God said to Moses, "Go do the locusts."
Right, he's kind of ignoring him. We're going to do this.
Okay. All right, verse 16. The Pharaoh called Moses and said, "I have sinned against your God and against you. Please forgive me this once and ask God to quit killing us." And he should add on there, "and ask God to stop hardening my heart."
Right, yeah.
So Moses asked God, and God sent a west wind that blew away all the locusts. But God hardened the Pharaoh's heart so he wouldn't let the Israelites go.
Yeah.
Jeepers.
Okay, this is the last one we're going to do today. The 9th plague. God said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand toward heaven to make darkness all over the earth." So Moses stretched out his hand, and a thick darkness descended on Egypt for 3 days. It was so dark that the Egyptians couldn't see one another, but it was light in all the Israelites' dwellings. The Pharaoh called Moses and said, "Go and serve God. Keep your flocks and herds here in Egypt, but take your children with you." But God hardened the Pharaoh's heart again, so he wouldn't let the people go.
I guess he has this one last plague that he wants to, or that he needs to do before he allows the Pharaoh to let the people go.
Yeah, I guess so, but he's hardening it one more time so that we can get plague 9 taken care of with the 3 days of darkness.
Yeah, I guess so. And then after the 3 days of darkness, there's the last one that we're not going to give away right now.
No, and we'll cover it in the next episode.
And that's a doozy.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, thank you for sticking with us. And we just have one more plague to go. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.